Hi, sixth graders. These are your notes for Introduction to Matter 1.1. You can find those. You could either have made a copy of it and are going to fill it out digitally, or you have a worksheet for this. Okay. Oops, I can't click. There we go. Our objective is I can relate mass, weight, volume, and density to one another. And the essential question is, what properties define matter? Now, we've talked a little bit about mass, weight, and volume in the past, and we've learned how to calculate those using the triple beam balance and a spring scale and a graduated cylinder. And so we're going to review that a little bit. And then we're also going to talk about a new property of matter called density. And that's what we're going to be focusing on for this section. So first thing you're going to do, it says list some similarities and differences between a golf ball and a ping pong ball. You don't need to write this anywhere on your notes, but I just want you to think about it for a little bit. So some of the similarities you might notice is that they're about the same size, they're the same shape. In this case, they're both the same color, okay? And some of the differences, if you've ever held a ping pong ball and a golf ball, right? The golf ball is much heavier. It's more dense as well, and it also has that pattern on it that the ping pong ball doesn't have. All of those things that we just talked about are properties. They're ways that we can describe something, and we're going to get back to that in today and in our next lesson. So this part goes with your notes. So what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. Your body, the table, water, and air. So even things that we can't always see, like gases, water vapor, air, things like that, they still have mass and they take up space. Therefore, they are matter. Light, sound, and energy are not matter. Those do not have volume and they don't have mass. Part B, what is mass? Well, mass describes the amount of matter or the amount of stuff in an object. We use grams, that's the basic unit of measurement for mass. And we know that objects that are the same size can be made up of different amounts of matter. And when we look back to the ping pong ball and the golf ball, we know that a golf ball has more matter, so it therefore has more mass as well. Remember, we use a triple beam balance, or in the case of this picture, we had some digital scales. We used those back at the beginning of the year to practice finding the mass. How does mass differ from weight? Weight, remember, is a measure of the gravitational force on an object. An object's weight can change depending on the object's location. So if I went to the moon, let's say, like in the picture, I would have less weight than I have on Earth because there's less gravitational pull. However, my mass would stay the same. An object's mass does not change unless the amount of matter in the object changes. So we used triple beam balances to measure the mass of an object, okay? And it says, would the balance give the same value for mass if we used it on the moon? So think about that for a minute. And the answer is yes, it would give the same amount because mass is not going to change regardless of where we are. If we're measuring the weight of that object, then the weight would change. So how are mass and weight measured? Mass is measured using a triple beam balance, or we have the electronic ones, the electronic scales as well. And weight is measured using a spring scale. And you might see those at the grocery store if you're measuring the weight of a fish, if you're where you kind of hook the fish's lip in that thing and the spring scale and hold it up. Units for weight are the Newton, and 100 grams weighs 1 Newton on Earth, and that's about 1/4 of a pound. How is the amount of space occupied by matter measured? Well, this is what we call volume, and volume is the amount of space that an object takes up or occupies. And objects with similar volumes do not always have the same mass. And you can see in the pictures it's showing the balloon and the bowling ball. Now we know that a balloon is much lighter than a bowling ball because it doesn't have the same amount of matter in it. Same thing when we go back to the golf ball and the ping pong ball, right? Even though they have the same volume, they do not have the same mass. So how can we determine the volume? So the first way that we can find the volume is by using a formula. And we can use this when we have a cube or a rectangular prism. And you've maybe used this formula before in math class. And the formula is length times width times height. Now, there are other formulas for other types of shapes. We can find the volume of a sphere, of a cylinder, of all of the different shapes. But for our sake right now, we're only going to use the formula length times width times height to find the volume of a rectangular prism or a cube. So the example that we have here, her lunchbox, if we wanted to know the volume of her lunchbox, the length is 25 centimeters, the width is 18 centimeters, and the height is 10 centimeters. So all we do is multiply those three numbers together, 25 times 18 times 10. And the volume of her lunchbox is 4,500 centimeters cubed. So if we wanted to find the volume of this locker, we would take, so we have a height of 200 centimeters, it looks like, a width of, or a depth of 30 centimeters, and a width of 40 centimeters. So we would take 200 times 40 times 30. So let me get my marker and I can draw on here, all right? So we have 30, right? This isn't easy to do. Times 200. Oh my gosh. Bear with me here. Times 40. All right. And when I multiply that out using my calculator, I do 30 times 200 times 40, and I get 240,000. And this is measured in centimeters, so it's centimeters to the third power because we're multiplying three numbers, or centimeters cubed. All right. And we can also find volume by using a process called water displacement, and we did this earlier in the year as well. Okay, and this is good for objects that are irregularly shaped. So the example in here is that chess piece. Okay, so what you do is you fill a graduated cylinder with some water and mark the volume. So on this one, it was 40 milliliters. That was our starting volume. Then we put the object in and mark the volume again, and now it's up to 46 milliliters. All we do is find the difference between the two volumes to find the volume of the object. So we look at, well, how much did that go up? So if we started at 40 and it went up to 46, it went up 6 milliliters. So the volume of that object is 6 milliliters. 1 milliliter is the same amount as 1 centimeter cubed. We usually measure liquids in milliliters and solids in centimeters cubed. So I would say that this chess piece is 6 centimeters cubed, or 6 milliliters. Now, density. Density is a new term for us. So density is a measure of the amount of mass in a given volume. So it's how much stuff is in a certain amount of space. So for example, when we look back to our ping pong ball and our golf ball that have roughly the same volume but different masses. So we're looking at how much matter, how much stuff is in each of those. They're going to have very different densities. So objects with the same amount of mass can take up different amounts of space, and vice versa. Objects with that take up the same amount of space can have different amounts of mass. So the density of a given substance is the same no matter how much of that substance you have. And so we can use it as an identifying property. For example, gold always has the same density, okay, regardless of if you have a tiny bit or a whole palace built of gold. So how do we determine density? We have a formula for that, and our formula is density equals mass divided by volume. I'll circle it for you, okay? And the units are grams, the mass we measure in grams, and volume in centimeters cubed. So our density units are grams per centimeters cubed. The density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cubed. So anything that has a greater density than that will sink, and anything that has a density of less than that will float. So if we look at these two rocks in the picture, we have pumice. These are both volcanic, they're igneous rocks that form when magma cools and solidifies. And pumice floats, but obsidian sinks. So we know the pumice must have, because it floats in water, it has a density of less than 1. And obsidian has a density of more than 1. So here's an example. Now I have a circle on there. Hold on, let me erase that. Maybe not. There we go. Okay. So we can figure out the actual density of these objects. All right, let's try this again, okay? So pumice is an igneous volcanic rock formed by the rapid cooling of lava. What is the density of a 49.8 gram piece of pumice that has a volume of 83 centimeters cubed? So if our mass is 49.8 and our volume is 83, we just use the formula mass divided by volume. So 49.8 divided by 83 is 0.6 grams per centimeters cubed. And I look at that and I say that makes sense because I know it floats, so it has to have a density of less than 1, and it does, so it works out. Now we're going to try it. Obsidian is another type of igneous rock. What is the density of a piece of obsidian that has a mass of 239.2 grams and a volume of 92? So we'll start out, our mass is 239.2, bear with me, grams. And our volume is 92 centimeters cubed. All right, so I'm not going to rewrite the formula, but we're going to do mass divided by volume. So we're going to do 239.2, oh my gosh, divided by 92. And when I do that, I get 239.2, whoops, I typed in the wrong number, 239.2 divided by 92, and I get 2.6. So my density is 2.6. My units are grams per centimeter cubed. All right, and this has a density of more than 1, which makes sense because it floats or sinks. All right, okay, so you're going to have some more practice with this later, finding the density of objects. All right.